Here we have a formula from statistics used to calculate a margin of error based on a survey of what percent of people think something or believe something. So the formula is listed over here. And E is the margin of error, and then we have this multiple out front, and then we have a square root here. And inside this, we have this little p with a hat times parentheses 1 minus p with a hat over n. And so people just call it p hat, which is kind of cute because when you write down p hat, it looks like a misspelling of fat. Anyway, so in this case, we have a survey of 1,300 people. The proportion who favored stiffer penalties for drunk driving was 71%. So as a decimal, p hat would be 0.71. So what's going on here is they did a random sample and asked 1,300 people what they thought about stiffer penalties for drunk driving. 71% of that group of 1,300 people said, yeah, we think there should be stiffer penalties. And the other 29% said no or something else. And we want to find, so again, this is from a sample. Based on a sample, they're trying to predict what the whole population thinks. And the population could be people in a county, people in a state, people in a country. And then the question is 1,300 people big enough? And if you're going to go on to take a stats course, you'll get to answer that question later. For now, we're just going to try and plug into this formula right here. So I get a little bit of work to write down. So I could either try and plug in one shot or kind of break it down and do things in parts. So I'll do it both ways. So first thing I'm going to do is say, okay, I'm just going to rewrite that they're telling me this p hat is 0.71. And remember, when we do calculations with percents, they have to be reformatted as decimals. We're also given, we have to do this parentheses 1 minus p hat. So I should do 1 minus p hat. So that would be 1 minus 0.71. And I should double check that on a calculator. I thought it was 0.29 or 29%. So I'll double check that in a calculator in the moment. Then I have to divide that by n. So let's see how, I guess I'll try to write it out. So I'm going to have p hat times 1 minus p hat divided by n. And so that would be the 0.71 times 0.29, right? P hat times 1 minus p hat divided by 1,300. And usually if you have a complicated numerator or denominator, you should put it in parentheses to be safe. So that's not a bad thing to do here. And then we have to take the square root of whatever that result is, right? And then finally we multiply. So we take the square root of all that stuff above. And then after we take the square root, we finally get to multiply that by the 1.96. So calculator time. Let's see, where's my calculator? There you are. All right, so kind of running through the order of operations here. Let's see, we said take the 0.71, multiply that by these. Oh, I always got to check make sure I got that 0.29 right. So when you're doing your homework, it's a good thing to do things in your head to get practice. Good math brain, but on a test or a quiz or something, you should definitely double check on a calculator. So write it on paper, plug it in to double check. All right, so we want the 0.71. So on the inside of that whole, times the 0.29. And then we want to divide that by 1,300. And you might be saying, oh my gosh, you forgot his parentheses. So we'll double check that. So I get about 0.0001. Now you could round that and then continue, but then the more rounding you do early, your answer could be farther off later. So it's best to not round. If I try to hit the square root button now, it's going to start all over. So in this case, I want the square root of that previous answer. And notice it says up here ANS equals. Some calculators have a previous answer button. So I can go plug that into the square root there and say continue, and then multiply that by that 1.96. So if I use my calculator right, following the order of operations, I should get about 0.025. How many decimal places were I asked for? 3 decimal places, yeah. So I think that the result of doing all this is about 0.025 to 3 decimal places. I could try to do this all in one shot on my calculator, in which case I would take the 1.96 times the square root, and then the square root kind of starts a parentheses. In there I have my numerator, and you might need another parentheses for the numerator, 0.71 times 0.29, and then divide by the 1300. So notice I started my numerator and then closed it, then I divide by the 1300. Now I got to tell the calculator to stop the square root. So I think that's what I'm going to try and tell my calculator to do next to see if I got it right. So it's usually a good idea to find a way to double check. So clear, and then we've got 1.29, 1.98 times, hit the square root button, and then I think I might need another parentheses for the numerator, 0.71 times 0.29, close the numerator, then divide by 1300, and close the square root, which Google was recommending with a light parenthesis there. And I get exactly the same number. So either I'm totally deluding myself or I did it right 2 ways in a row. One more way is I could just kind of type it exactly like I saw it in the problem, where I have the extra parenthesis. Where'd that sucker go? Back here. Why isn't it showing? There we go. Where I have that extra parenthesis for the 1 minus p hat. So I'm going to try it that way just to make sure. And so what is that going to look like? Let's squeeze it in green over here. It would be the 1.96. Now most calculators don't let you stack things like this, so I'm going to have to write it out sideways, long square root. So I will have the 0.71 times 1 minus 0.71, close, then divide, right, this division right here, by the 1300. And all of that is inside the square root. So like the way Google writes a square root, it would have a parentheses here and there. So that would be trying to write it exactly as it says here. So you can either do it in stages or try it in one shot. I recommend you do both just to get good at using formulas in a calculator. So 1.9, let's see, was it 96 or 98? Sorry, apparently I haven't enough coffee today. 96. I think I typed 98 mistakenly before. Ruh-roh. I lost it. All right. So 1.96 times square root, and then the 0.71 times parentheses 1 minus 0.71, close that, then divide. And again, it's an art figuring out when to start and end parentheses. It takes lots of practice. All right, I think I typed that right. Enter, and I get about the same, 0.25. Okay, so apparently if I did mistype with 1.98, it was close enough, which I believe I did make that error earlier. Okay, so again, I tried 3 different ways, and again, you should practice that on a calculator. And so the goal here is just using a relatively complicated formula in a calculator. Thanks, take care, do good math. Oops. Bye-bye.